And then we threw a little campaign. How many of you remember the Imported from Detroit campaign? Yes. Thank you. And in many ways, that campaign defined, we didn't expect it to define a city or define a county or define a state. And in some ways, when I meet people in airplanes right now, I sit next to them, and I used to have that uncomfortable question, where do you work? And I used to go, oh, Chrysler. And now I say Chrysler very proudly. They go, man, I saw that commercial. This is a guy from California talking to me, right? And so it has found a way to penetrate, and it's representing us, and I think also Detroit, But here's what happened to that car. This car languished, if you look at less than 1,000 units a month. 40% of our dealers didn't even stock the 200 at all. I mean, the Sebring. And when we redesigned the vehicle, of course, a campaign, then you look what happened to the sales. I mean, that's all retail, by the way, 772% up ever since, and it's still doing really well in the marketplace as we speak. And we did that same thing, we fixed the mojo on our other vehicles, But we can't sense that we're not the only ones to do it. Design has been a great tool for many companies. This happens to be Kia. I mean, only a few years ago, this is 5 years ago, this Kia was a laughable thing. People used to shop them against used cars. But look at the Kia Optima now, one of the most beautiful cars in the segment. Again, a lot of that's design. They kind of got it right, so to speak. And of course, Toyota's about to do the same thing. Toyota, for the last few years, has been struggling a little bit with their styling, to their own admission. And when I was at New York Auto Show, I saw the new Avalon. I was like, whoa, it stopped me right in my tracks. I'm like, here's a company that everyone kind of looks at as vanilla, so to speak, and they're turning it around. It's not only quality now, it's emotion. They're getting it. And here's a car that, Ford already did kind of the same thing we did at 200. They did some surgery on the Fusion, but they're not done yet. You're going to keep the ante going. Here's the new Fusion I saw again at Detroit Auto Show. Very, very impressive vehicle. So now, Neil Baudet from the Wall Street Journal coined the phrase back almost a year and a half ago now, the Big Seven. And that's absolutely true. When I think of what's happened in the auto industry, it's no longer the Big Three, it's the Big Seven. And some of these OEMs are also building cars in the US, so the market is a little confused. I think there's going to be a day when the market is almost evenly distributed. We're gaining market share like crazy as we speak. We're up again close to 40% this month. So we're kind of gaining share. Here's a company we were less than 5% 3 years ago. Now we're closing in on 11% market share. And of course, Hyundai's coming up. You see Nissan, and all of us are now, happen to be small cars. We're all making relevant compact cars, making trucks, making SUVs. Everybody's filled out their portfolios tremendously. And what I also like that's happening in the industry, the fun is back. Of course, the Mustang has always been around, but the Camaro made a roaring return, the Challenger. Hyundai, a lot of people don't realize Hyundai makes a V6 rear-wheel drive coupe, and obviously Nissan has been there for a long time. And the other trend happening is the 500-plus horsepower club is making a return. So all these vehicles here are high-performance vehicles from Nissan. And you see the Toyota's looking at a Supra concept. That's coming. They don't do concept cars for nothing. And then, of course, the supercar world. And we're making a return ourselves. Corvette has done a good job with the ZR1, and we're coming back with the Viper. And those are all signs of health. But again, the Japanese don't want to be left out, right? So the Japanese, look at the Nissan supercar, the Acura, which is Honda's, and then the Lexus. And if you look carefully at supercars, to me as a designer, I look into those cars because they predict the future branding exercise. Look at the grills, look at the details, the body language, the lines of the vehicle. You'll see that in their passenger cars going forward. That's a trick of these concepts. And of course, we live in a time, to me, that's really exciting when these two cars, as polar opposite as they are successful in their own right. Only in this country can you have a market that diverse with vehicles so opposite in their mission. So I think talking about the future, people ask me, what are cars going to look like in 20 years? As a designer, the biggest thing to change a car is going to be the powertrain. If we can finally kind of bust the powertrain up, that's when the changes are coming. But it's not as easy as you would think. I get asked a lot, when are cars going to be electric? Here is the issue. I've tried to put this slide together to explain it as simply as I possibly could. It all comes down to power density. If you look at 30